All right, I guess I'm live then. So, uh, just real quick, what I have here, I just want to show y'all a quick mix of, or show y'all just a demonstration of how I usually mix my drums. I know I did it real brief before, but I'm gonna go into detail of how I mix my drums now, um, on Logic, but now I'm gonna just show y'all pretty much how I just go about mixing, period. Now what I usually do is what you see here, I got my I have the tracks up, and then in the right corner I have the let me check something real quick. Hold on. Okay, so what I want to demonstrate to y'all is how I usually just go about mixing my drums. I do a quick mix. It's very brief, so that I don't have to sit long with mixing or anything. For the most part, I know what I want to hear um, in the on the output side. I know what I want to hear in the long run. So what I usually do is once I open, this is all raw footage here. Nothing has been touched, so you could take a quick listen to what this is. All right, so y'all get the idea. This is all raw footage. Nothing is panned out. And this was all done with you could probably see just a little bit of this mixer here. I recorded with this Behringer Wing Compact, and I love it. Preamps in it are amazing. I got it specifically to be able to record drums and to tweak it the way that I need to. But this is all raw footage that I have here, um, that I'm sharing with y'all. And it's these are drums that are being played by Alvin Claybrooks. I don't know if a lot of y'all know who he is, but Alvin Claybrooks is the guy that's playing these drums. And thank God for him, man, because I've been shooting and editing um, all of his videos. I appreciate him giving me the opportunity to do that. But I've been trying to learn how to get an ear for mixing. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to show you how I go about each individual mic, basically, on how I do a mix. Now, my basic breakdown is what's good, Chris? Chris Lloyd. I appreciate you stepping in, bro. Um, so what I do with my mix, I mix for social media. If I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't mix for to listen back in the car or to listen through speakers in the church or anything like that. I specifically mix for social media because I know if I just share a video or something like that, for the most part, everybody is just gonna see it on either YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, and I know that they compress the sound differently anyway. So they're gonna do what they want, that what they want to do. I just want people to be able to hear those individual drum pieces or whatever instrument that's being played. So what I'm about to get into first is, well, first off, I gotta name all of my tracks. So bass drum, I got a top and bottom snare. Four times. Hats. Overhead left and overhead right. Now, what I usually do after this is I like to bust out pause. I like to bust or put into aux bus all of these all of the drums and then all of the specific pieces. So what I do first is I'll create a stack for all of the drums. Then I'll create a stack for my toms. My toms have to be very distinct. That's the ear that I really been trying to get, is distinctive for using toms or hearing toms through my phone or maybe even through my speakers in the car. But I like those to be very distinctive and making sure that those tones are there, making sure that, of course, you know, everybody tunes their drums different, but just making sure that I can actually hear those specific toms. So I actually stack my toms, and then I'll show you how I basically magnify the bass drum and the snare, because those are very important when it comes to the basics of pretty much any song. That's the tempo of the songs. So what I'm doing right now is I start at the bass drum, I go to the snare, I go to the toms. Then because you don't have to, like, for me personally, I don't because those the hats and the overalls are like high ends, I don't tweak those too much. You're gonna hear those regardless. So those usually go last. But the way that I start with my bass drum, ISO out or solo, and then just I just take one part of the song and just keep looping it until I get the right EQ for it. So then I would choose, the plugin that I use for all of my drums is Black Salt. That's what I use. So go to, where am I going to? Plugins. I use Black Salt Audio, and they have a plugin called a silencer. I love it because it gets very distinctive. Like, it gets basically to the precise decimal to how you want to measure it. So if you can see this, let me see. This is what I use. And your measurements, higher, you know, what sounds really good to you. Mixing basically is what sounds good to you and what you know the rest of the ears can relate to. So, and as you can see, it definitely solos out and blocks out the other sounds. And then they actually have presets at the top here: bass drum, top snare, bottom snare, and toms. I love this plug-in. I use it all the time. And then so as you can see on the meter, this is, you can see where the difference between where the bass drum is and where the rest of the drums are. You can see that the bass drum is coming through very discreetly. You can see that the bass drum is coming through very distinctly. And I usually set it, the threshold, maybe a little in the middle of where those waves are. And it all depends. It all depends how the audio ends up coming out. So I'm happy with what this is for now. And then what I usually do is kind of have a preset for let's not do that yet. Let's go to, there's a specific EQ that I use. Let's turn this down. Vintage tube. So using this, I usually use this to try to grasp those different frequencies within the bass drum and try not to put too much on the bass drum. I want to be able to hear that the high end but still have a little bit of low in there. For the most part, we all know that the mid is not something that we really want in the bass drum. There's some genres that require that, but how I usually go about it, I don't put too much mid in there. Let's try a different one. It was another one that I used. That's not it. This was it. And you can already hear the difference in the bass drum when I cut it off. What's up, Mixon? You said it's called, what's that, Telos? You gonna have to send me a link to that in Messenger if you still on here, bro. Send me a link to that. I'm gonna have to check that out. I know with Black Salt it was straightforward. If Telos got that too, or however you pronounce that, send that to me, direct message. DM me, bro. I know for the most part, I try to pull my low down a little bit more when it comes to the bass drum. I know, again, I try to mix for social media, meaning like whenever you look, whenever you're looking through your phone or hearing it through your phone, that's what I mix for the most part. And then the other thing I try to do is bring those natural tones. I try not to put too many plugins or EQ it too much where it takes away from the natural tone of which it was. Because these drums, I kind of tune myself, but over time, of course, you know, they detune and whatnot, but they sound pretty good to me live. So I try not to veer away from that too much. Yeah, send that to me, Mix, bro. I appreciate it, dog. Okay. So what I'm hearing now is I'm hearing the high end, or basically hearing the distinction of the beater. Um, once it hits once it hits that bass drum, and I try to leave some low end in there to try to for that frequency of the natural state of what it is. That's what a bass drum is. It's that low end. So I'm gonna leave this as is. I'm gonna try to let y'all hear. Try not to spend too much time on it because I don't want to take up too much of y'all time. So what I'll do is I'll leave this as is. I'll come back to it once I start mixing the drums and everything. So now I'm gonna go to the snare. Now the snare usually is kind of tough for me to EQ and mix because it's the microphone itself usually catches everything around it. So I haven't necessarily figured out how to really isolate that snare sound wise, but I try to the presets that I use within. Let's stop this. The presets that I use within my wing or my mixer or whatever mixer that I use, I try to use I try to have enough gain where it's not grabbing too much of what's around it, but more so the pop of that snare, or maybe even the side stick. The side stick is the hardest part to try to grab, but let's see what I can get out of this snare. Now, as you can see, the snare is catching pretty good. It got pretty good audio on that part. So what I'm gonna do to this, again, use the black salt. And as you can see, it's isolating that snare pretty good. You can hear some hi-hat in it, but you'll be able to pull more of the hi-hat out once you EQ it. Alright, so I'm happy with that one. So I'm gonna go to EQ, and I use a lot of the preset EQs on here. I like the way that they sound. Again, I'm mixing for social media. I'm not necessarily mixing for an album or anything like that. That's gonna come later. But I try not to spend too much time if I'm doing different videos or anything like that. So what I'm gonna do is, let's see what this sounds like. How about so this preset takes lows out that frequency around that 130, 140, pulls it up, and then it has the high ends. So let's keep that there. And then you can hear the oh, that's the wrong one. I'm gonna do the silencer first. Yeah, it was about the same. I don't do too much EQing on the bottom, or the bottom snare. I try to just keep that natural because you're just hearing the snares anyway. But you still need to take out them low ends and then the sound around it. Appreciate you, Mick. Thanks for sending that to me, bro. So, I'm gonna leave this bottom snare as is. I'm gonna just pull the. And then, of course, as anyone would, I pay attention, try to pay attention to when it's clipping. That's where my compression is going to come in, where it starts to build on the dynamics of the drums themselves. So I'll get to that part later. So now, as you can hear, the Black Salt plugin, Black Salt Audio plugin, it can be very distinctive. Okay, so I'm happy with those. So the next thing I usually work on is the toms. So let's loop those. Let's see what those sound like. Let's go about here. So those times, I've had a hard time trying to tune those toms, but I try to get them as close as possible. And you, of course, anytime that you are recording drums, anything that you record, you try to tune and get as natural as possible so that your post production isn't as long. You want to have the natural tones, tunes, whatever it is that you whatever instrument that you are using. So first thing is pan them out. When I pan my toms, I always pan them as if I'm the person sitting behind the drums and I'm playing them. That's the vision that I try to give when I'm panning the drums out. And you have some others that flip it. They'll do the opposite, where you will be the person that may be looking at the drummer, and you're using you're using your ears, or the stereo-ness of your ears, where it's going from right to left. But I usually do mine left to right, as if you're the person that's actually playing the drums. Now, believe it or not, I don't do too much to the tom for the as far as like EQ and the toms. I just want them to be heard specifically. I want them to be heard. So as far as the tom, so I got, as far as the pans, 40, 18, 24. I just try to make them distinctive as far as from left to right. So it's not, I don't have a specific number or anything like that. So yeah, let's start with this first time. Alright, so we're gonna throw the black salt on that. Yep. Happy with that. Now the way that I EQ the toms, let's use pre. And then I basically take away all of the other bands. I only use 3 bands. Now the frequency, this mid band that I use, the frequency that I try to grab out of there is, as you can see, the tone of where this tom is. The main part you can see here is around this 200 frequency, and I try not to bring that too far down. Of course, if you bring it too far up, it sounds real muddy, almost like it's hollering in the microphone. I don't like my toms to holler in the microphone, but I like them to be heard. And I know this is not the correct terminology. Trust me, I will get to actually figuring it out. What's up, Conru? What's good, Josh? Appreciate y'all stepping in. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it. I'll pull this up around this 6K, just very small. All right. And now, the trick that I usually do for this, again, I kind of speed this process up because I want everything to be heard. It doesn't have to be mixed down like you know, a pro. Not yet. I'm not there yet, but I'm still grabbing the ear for it. So what I do is I just copy. I go to the next time. Put the black salt on that. I could still hear a little bit of background instrument, the other parts of the drums on there. But considering that part, that's not a big deal to me when you've done as much as you can, because what's gonna happen is more so just for me, for mixing, it's more so just trying to pull more of those specific pieces of the drums up so you can hear them and then hear them evenly. But what's going to happen, period, is you're going to get a little bit of a drum in a mic. If you don't have like the high-end microphones or a high-end mixer or just high-end equipment that really pulls out the other instruments from those microphones, this is what you're going to get. But for me personally, I'm not too big, or it's not a big deal for me, because what happens is, what's good, Sean? What happens is, for me, you're gonna hear those other drums in those spots anyway. It's just more so bringing them out so they don't sound low or sound too high. So, like you hear the fading of those other drums from this, it's not a big deal for me. Just more so if I can pull this time out so that I can actually start to magnify this one. So I'm happy with this. So my next move, I go to my EQ, I paste, and then what I do here, I just move them down, because what's happening is you're going from high to low anyway. So for me, again, this is for me. I usually just try to find those spots. I try to keep the toms in the same frequency area, but still try to make them of their own tone. So we do the same thing for my mid time and low time. First of all, and as any drummer knows, that 12-inch will give you hell. Tuning that tone, that 12-inch, that 12-inch tom, man, that'll give you hell for sure. But in the end, is what your sound is what your ear is for your drums. Because a lot of people tune this real low, some people tune this much higher. Alright, leave that there. And then for the last time, silencer first. Reality for me, I've had a little trouble with the floor toms, trying to get that because it sounds real like it sounds real raggedy. Like still trying to figure that part out. But in the end, I try to make them sound as uniform as possible together. And then EQ that out. All right, let's hear what this sounds like. So what I'm hearing is do 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 like is you can definitely tell the difference in the frequencies that are being resonated from those times. Sean, you said you gain stage your tracks before you mix or add plugins. Come here.
We don't have any more diapers for Shimmy, do we?
I don't know.
Okay. Because we got to take some to the school tomorrow, too.
Okay.
And wipes.
Alright. You said to gain stage your tracks before you mix. Oh, I'm live right now. Your tracks before you mix or add plugins. Yes. But thank you for that, Sean. Thank you for that tip. Pause. But now what I usually do is I have those gains set once when I'm recording. Cause again, I try not to do too many plugins or anything like that once I'm actually mixing. But I will definitely keep that. In mind. I like to try to mix it up a little bit. No pun intended. I like to mix it up a little bit too. Try to get those. Cause one of the people that have given me a whole lot of advice when it comes to sound is Dallas Barr. He's a sound man that I'm pretty sure everybody on here knows who Dallas Barr is, but I've gotten a whole lot of learning from him. But a lot of what I've been doing as far as post production is just I've just been working with different stuff because I know what I want to hear in the end. But again, I love that y'all are just giving me different ideas too. So like if it's plugins too, Sean, send me those. DM me some plugins for that. I would want to learn that too. Um, so I can use those ideas too. I would love to be able to use different ideas, man. So back to these times. Let's see. Okay, so let's stop there for now. Um, as far as these hats and overheads, like I said before, I usually just pull a whole lot of the low out of that. And you're gonna see even in your EQ. So let's go to the overheads. Let's go to a cymbal head. I need both. Okay, right there. Okay, so let's highlight this right here. Because this is what I try to find. If you can see this right here. For anybody that may be new to trying to mix. Anybody on here that may be new to trying to mix. I can definitely say you can see the difference in those waves from snare to cymbal. The cymbals, of course, are longer. They're a little bit less, but you could definitely tell that that the cymbals are there. The difference between the cymbals and the snare, and maybe some other drums, but the snare is really popping through those mics. So like right here, this is a cymbal, this is a cymbal. So I try to look for those. Oh, the other thing that I don't do that I've seen a lot of other drummers, I mean not drummers, but people who mix, and it's nothing against it. That is a tactic. It is a smart tactic. It's a tactic that that can be well generated. But I don't do it to try to keep the distinction of anything that the drummer is doing within. I'm gonna get to it in a second. Anything that the drummer is doing on the set, if it is a ghost note, because I really like to try to hear those ghost notes. I don't take out the silent parts. It is a feature on, I know, at least Logic, where you can set the threshold of what's coming through the microphone, and then it deletes the rest of what you don't want, and then it just leaves those regions on there to where you could just join all of those regions together. I know specifically a lot of people do that with the toms. I don't necessarily do that. Or I stopped doing that because it was different dynamics or different volumes, so to speak, that a drummer may be using, where it could be swelling with the toms. But once I set that threshold, then I can't hear the initiation of when that build up started. So I just stopped doing that, and I just started using the Black Salt plugin. That's what helped me to magnify those specific hits or those ghost notes. So that's just one thing uh that I used to use. I don't necessarily use that anymore, and I might get back to it. Hopefully, if I can figure that part out. But you going to the overheads. Now, what I use with the overheads, usually just take out everything from the low end all the way down to probably that 3K. Copy and paste to the next one. Now I try to keep the low body end of those cymbals in there. I try to, so it's not just too high pitchy. All right, so I'm happy with these overheads. They pretty even when it comes to the pre-gain on there, and then the hats. Let's see. Again, same thing with this one. It doesn't need like a as you can see, most of that that's beyond that 10K. So just magnifying that. All right. So without the mix down, let me see. Let me go back. So now what I'm gonna try to do is just to change a few of these levels so that they're not clipping. Now, technically, you're supposed to do that first and then work on the dynamics. I am doing that backwards, but because I know what my end result usually comes to, this is basically my second step. Just for right now. So it does sound a little bit better, different from what you may have heard, what y'all may have heard from the raw audio. All right. So what I usually do with these toms is I try EQing them together. So there was a preset that I used to use on here. Shout out to my guy Germs, because he was the one that actually showed me that. And when I saw that specific preset, I actually fell in love with that specific sound. But over time, I started tweaking it. But it was called Detailed Drums, if I'm not mistaken. And I think he placed it over the drum, the whole drum mix. But I like how it sound on the tom specifically. But basically, what that preset was, before all of the other EQs, I believe it only had 3 bands that it worked with. Let me see. I think it was this. No, it was this one. If I'm not mistaken. So then, if we listen back to the times, let's hear what it sounds like now. Let's go back. Now, what I believe happens here, and I don't know this specifically, I don't think this overall, this the bus that I have for the times, I don't think that this EQ for each individual track, I think it does it for the overall what it is right now. Now, it may be, maybe a stupid observation, maybe, or I should say, maybe an obvious observation to say, duh, it does do that because it's bus. It all of the times are in the bus, which I understand that, but I'm not going to assume that. But what it does sound like is that it takes all of those times, and then just EQ that specific bus. So with me learning that, that's where I learned that I had to tweak those other I had to start tweaking those other EQs that I was, because every time I was throwing in a different EQ, I was taking out too many lows or taking out too many mids, taking out too much highs, anything like that, and then it either came out too thin or too bulky within my final mix. So that's what I was learning as far as how once I started using the bus for the drums, determining how the EQ was coming out for each individual mic and each individual bus. So the good thing is the low that I'm bringing up now is from what's already mixed or already EQ'd from the other times. So I'm just at this point just trying to highlight those. Okay, and then as you can see, it's a little bit clipping here, so I'll start to add those compressions on there. Okay, so let's go here next. So I just use a preset EQ called Refresh Drums. Let's see what another one sounds like. You got Refresh Drums and you got, I think that's the only one for, yeah, that's the only one for a bus set. Alright, let me see. see something. So that's the second time sounds a little bit low. Let me see. Darius Byers, how you doing, man? You said I do the same for the snare as well, and if I'm using 2 kick mics, I'll do the same as well. Got you, bro. Uh-oh. I'll go back to the, there we go. Yeah, some people might defer from what I do, which is fine. Everybody has a different ear. Everybody have different tactics. All in all, I can definitely say most of y'all that's on here, all of y'all that's on here, bro. All of us have been advancing, especially with the technology that we have now. We've been advancing in how we mix, but we've been able to come up with different ideas to get to the same. Okay. Yeah, so I do that. Yeah, Darius, I do that sometimes with my bottom snare, my top and snare bottom mic. I may do that with overheads, but it all depends on what I'm mixing them with. If I'm happy with where they are at that point, I just leave them as is. So I started discovering for myself to use buses to try to, again, to magnify those specific pieces of the drums. So in one of the last mixes that I did use or did do, I did realize that I ended up having to bust the overheads, the top and bottom snare, the toms, and then the whole set all together. It came out just a little bit, a little bit better than what I expected, but it wasn't too much. Cause it was like it was the type of set that was being used too, and that's a hard thing that I'm discovering too. So if it is somebody that may be asking me to mix their drums and whatnot, again, with me being like a novice or like, that novice mixer basically, or right in the middle, trying to, if they don't have good tone drums, trying to bring those drums or magnify those specific pieces of the drums, it's a tall task. It's a tall task, but I enjoy trying to bring those out. So, but yes, we on the same page, bro. I definitely do that. Now I haven't moved to actually using more than one drum mic or more than one bass drum mic. I haven't gotten to that point yet. But yeah, that is an idea. So let's get to what was I doing? I'm sorry. Okay, let's see what it sounds like. So for y'all are for the people that are here, let me know what this sounds like to y'all, cause I do know I'm listening through speakers, and of course these speakers are EQ'd differently from how y'all are listening through the phone. So let me know what specifically the drums sound like, cause I actually get to the track and try to blend that with the drums, but I'm just trying to see if the drums actually sounds distinctive through, if you're listening through the phone. What's good, G? Stepping on the grounds of Eastland Mall, Westland Mall, Southland, all of the malls that you done call me, dog. So I'm halfway liking how that is coming out. It sounds better than what it originally was. So what I'm going to do now, the other thing that I do is I either create a reverb bus and then start to pull just specific pieces, whether it's a guitar, or a singer, whatever it is, into that bus, kind of like how you would do for a soundboard. Or I just take that reverb, I create a reverb, and then if I like that specific reverb, I'll copy and paste it to specific drums. But one thing that I did notice that I was doing wrong was I would put a reverb on all of the drum pieces. I didn't like them on the bass drum, didn't like them, or I didn't like them on like low end instruments or frequencies. So I started specifically putting them on like a snare, just a snare, maybe a guitar, just those things that kind of sings to you a little bit more. So let me see. Let me see what this sounds like. And then the Logic that I have has some good reverbs, but the main one that I usually like using is the Chroma Verb. Oh, you know what? This would be a good idea to use it here. So yeah, like Darius was saying, you can bust out the pause, the snare. So I'm gonna create this stack and then just use that stack to create a just put reverb on that one. Uh-oh, that was the wrong one. We here. All right, so taking that off. I appreciate it, G. Thank you, bro. Uh, let me see. I'm talking this whole time and I'm muted. Yeah, I'll be a great sound man. Anyway, what I was actually saying was, like Darius, one of the last things that I usually do is, it was like what Darius was saying, well, first off, in case y'all didn't hear me, thank you G, thank you Darius, thank y'all for y'all inputs, thank y'all for just stepping into the room, man. But one of the last tactics that I usually do to try to help the dynamics of those, or maybe a bass drum, or maybe the bass drum or the snare, is I add a bus to those. It was just like what Darius was saying, as far as adding the bus for like, and he was pretty much saying like when he has like two bass drum mics, when he has two bass drum mics or two snare mics, and he'll bust those out. But I usually just use a bus on the post production so that I can magnify a little bit more. That way I'm not putting it on the one channel and then I'm overdoing it, and then now it's clipping because I'm putting too much on it. So I just use another bus just to give it a little bit more volume, a little bit more distinction on it. So I'm gonna use this for the bass drum. Oh, you know what? Let's do it this way. Use this one for the bass drum. Bus 4. I'm gonna send you. So now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna add a compressor to this bus. Uh-oh. Is it on there? Definitely sounds kind of muffled too. Let's see what happens if, let's take that compressor off. Let's see what happens if I add this EQ to what's already there. That helps a little bit more. So I just use the refresh kick on here, the preset EQ on here. So now I'm gonna set the compressor on here. We definitely at the end, y'all. Definitely at the end. So let me pull this. All right, so the last thing I'm going to do is, because I've definitely been on here for an hour and 15 minutes, longer than what I expected, but rolling on. Uh, Try to do something a little bit with this track. Um, I usually just try to throw like a little preset on here, something to try to blend it in with the drums, because of course the drums wasn't originally mixed with the song itself, so it's gonna sound completely different. Wait a minute, that's another thing. This is not in stereo. And yeah, that's why it sounded like that. It wasn't in stereo. All right. So the last thing I'm about to do, because I definitely don't want to spend any more time on this, is so I'm happy with what it is right now. I feel like that once I hear it through my phone or just pass it through, on social media, I'll be able to hear those distinctive uh or those specific drum pieces. Um, so that this is my quick mix. It's usually quicker than this, but of course, I wanted to be able to explain what I was doing, and I usually do all of my mixes from scratch, even if it is the same set. I usually do all of my mixes from scratch because depending on what song there or what genre of song that they're using, anything like that, I want to be able to match my drums with that. So um again, even if it's the same exact set, I start from scratch for how I mix them. So you might hear a deeper tone on a snare the next time with the same exact set, but it's the genre of the song, is the type of song, the feel of the song, anything like that. Um, but as far as this is straightforward. It's a drumless track, and I just want everything to be heard. So what I found, the last thing I'm about to do is what I found on Logic, or the paid Logic. Um, there is what's called a mastering assistance on here, and that has been helping me to um, basically master out or master assist my final mix. uh and I'll just throw that plug-in in there, let it do its thing, and then I listen back to it again. Once I'm happy with it, I'm happy with it. I honestly don't even throw any compression or any other EQ or anything on those, because again, it's a drumless track. For this is not that deep. I'm not mixing the album or anything like that. I just need something to sound a little bit with a little bit better quality, but it's not overdoing it. So this is what I use. So it's analyzing the track, all of these tracks, and everything together, and it comes out with what it believes it should be. It usually doesn't take long to for it to analyze, and then there it is. And then as you can see here, you can tweak the spread and the dynamics on it a little bit more if you want to. So what's before, as you can see down here, I don't know if you can see, if you see where my mouse is, where this stereo out is, this pink highlighted area. You can see that it's clipping out here. You can definitely see that it's clipping out here. And what this mastering assistant does for me personally, it master assists. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. Now, technically, as someone who would master out a song, you do a little bit more. You add compressions, dynamics to it. You add your EQs to the final product. Matter of fact, I believe that you even you bounce out the actual song and then you reinsert it and then you master it out. That's from what I've seen, but I stick with this. It makes me I'm happy with it, so that's what I stay with. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I'm honestly just trying to make it sound like something that any one of you will want to just stop and listen to. I know in the past years, anytime that the reason why I really got into this is because when I was watching drum videos, it was hard to really get into watching them because it was certain parts, like especially with ghost notes and things like that I couldn't hear. I wanted to be a little bit more theatrical, so to speak. So that's why I wanted to get into doing, some audio mixing and stuff like that, and to just learn something different. So, but yeah, right now this is the final right here. This is my final layout. This is the final mix that I'm gonna use. And then later on, y'all actually gonna see the. I think I'm gonna do a go live doing my video edit. I think I did that the last time, but I pretty much just show what I did in the final product, or kind of a brief of how I did it. But y'all get to see how I actually use, and I use a professional software, so you'll get to see how in detail how I actually go about editing the video. So anytime that anybody asks me to do a drum video or anything like that, I'll be showing you how I actually edit out those videos. But this is the final product audio wise. So thank y'all for y'all input. Thank y'all for watching, and hope to see y'all in some future some of the future videos, and just have some input from there. So thank y'all.